Alright, here is the video review for Maketoys GUNDOG, their version of Hound. And it comes in two versions. He's got the version 2Y for toy and version 2N for tune. So for the tune version and the toy version. And aside from the decos, they're exactly the same figure. You can see the tune version here is a little bit more olive. It's a little brighter, looks a little bit more like an animation character. He only has the one star on the front in yellow. Some minor details. It's silver paint all over the figure. The guns, whereas the toy version has that metallic green plastic and chrome in place of most of the silver paint. The missile back here has some silver paint and then some chrome on the tip. But for the most part, aside from deco, not even for the most part, aside from the deco, they're the exact same figure. They both roll really well, and a pretty nice army jeep. We'll go ahead and get him out of the way here, and then we'll work on. We're just going to transform one on camera, and we'll show off the differences at the end. All right, so we want to start off here. First things first. Go ahead and pull the weapons off of the back. Now here you can see he's got his hand pistol plugged into the rocket launcher, shoulder launcher thing, which you can do like that, as well as this one. You can have both of them attached to this if you want, although I don't know why. You would want to, but you can do that to store them all together if you want to put this over here. You could have all three of them in the middle and just peg that on like that. There's a lot of different configurations for the weapons. We'll go ahead and pull them off and separate them, set them off to the side. Pull the wheel off the back, as well as the gas can, and then flip these little panels up for right now. Now to start transforming him into robot mode, we want to pull the, start off with the little mirror and mud flap wheel covers here, and kind of pull them out to the side. They're on a hinge in there that allows them to come up, and they kind of up and out and lift up. So you lift that up, pull this whole assembly up with a little wheel piece here that just kind of flops around. It's on a ball joint. Lift that up. You can go ahead and fold this down flat if you want, and fold the windshield down. That's the steps we'll use later on in the transformation, but you can go ahead and do that now if you want. So open that up, and then we come up here and we unpeg these panels right here from the front of the Jeep. That pegs in right here, and then a couple tabs right here on the side. So bring those out, and then we're going to go ahead. The rear bumper folds down and up like that. And then this whole assembly back here rotates down to form the feet, at which point we can go ahead and split the legs, open up the seats, and pull the hands out. You can see his forearms extend quite a bit for transformation. But open those up, fold these panels in and under, and then this tab's going to go right here in this slot. You just fold this around and tab it in to form the heel. Fold the seat back and fold it flat against the back of his leg, and then flip up the little stairs, Jeep mode, onto the side of his leg there. And there's the lower half pretty much done. Come up here to the top, and you want to take the arm panels. If you go ahead and collapse the arms, it makes it a little easier if you go ahead and collapse the arms here. But fold it up. You just kind of accordion these panels up to form his forearm. This should tab in. There we go. Let's get that. They're on dual hinges here, so you gotta make sure all the tabs line up. Yeah, see, there's a forearm. Fold it. Fold it. And then lock it up. And then the arms rotate around. You want to go up because this panel has clearance under the wheel here, but trying to fold the whole arm out this way would not work. So fold this around, all the way around to be flat like that on the inside. And same over here. Basically fold it a full 180 out there. Flip his head up, out through here. Then the wheels unpeg from the side. This little tab, they peg in right here. And then this whole hinge piece, bring this down and fold that slot up into the, there's a curved piece that fits right in there, and then fold the wheels into his back. Just like that. His torso collapses down onto just like that. And then this whole panel, make sure the wheel's out of the way. Fold this down around his head here and onto his back. And you kind of got to pull the head up. There's a panel on his head. You want to make sure that comes all the way up to be even with his chest. You'll hear it click into place. Like that. Bring his arms down, extend his arms at the elbow. Rotate his fist forward. And then these panels right here, you lift them all the way up. Put them right up here on his shoulder pads. And there he is, more or less in robot mode. All the accessories. Now, if you want to have this folded down, you have to fold it down here, and then you have to store the wheel on his arm, if that's what you want. The wheel uses a thinner tab. You can store it on his arm like that. It's designed to be stored on the back, but the only way it stores on the back is to have the windshield flipped up. I like having it on his back, but it's entirely your preference. So you just plug that on there like that. His pistol can tab into his hands. You kind of got to twist it in because of that tab, that peg. But it pegs into his hand, close his hand around it. Now, his shoulder cannon, if you bring this back just a little bit, there's a little slot here in the clip, and it just clips on right here to the back. And then you can fold the windscreen back up. Go ahead and bring him a little bit more fully in frame here. Now, this gun, you can either, on his back, you can attach it to the side of the missile launcher. It just pegs in. You can store it up there and give him kind of a double gun up on his shoulder. You can actually have him hold the... and I find it works a little easier if you fold it back like this, but it's entirely up to you. The gun swivels on this so you can keep it straight, but you can kind of... His hand doesn't close all the way around it, but you can get his hand, kind of get it in his hand and close his fingers around it and have him hold that as another handheld gun as well. Now, the gas can, you can flip out either one of these panels. The little pedals that let it peg in Jeep mode, and you can store it, plug it on that tab and store it on the foot like that. If you want it sideways, like on the old toy, you flip up this one, and this one has a little slot right here that will allow that to peg on sideways onto his foot. Entirely up to you where you want to store it, but you can store it down there on his foot. Posability wise, he's got a ball jointed head here on the neck. He's got a ball joint here on the shoulder that swivels out, and then the outer piece here rotates for his front and back shoulder joint. He's got a bicep swivel. Oh, and the little steering wheel just sits back there on his back. Bicep swivel. He's got a hinged elbow. He does have wrist swivel. As you saw, his fingers open and close as one unit. He has a waist swivel. Universal hips, out and out, front to back. Thigh swivel. The seat folds out of the way for his knee hinge. He does have ankle tilt, and he does have an ankle front to back swivel. So you get a pretty decent range of motion out of his feet, even though they are just kind of giant square blocks. So overall, pretty posable. Hold that gun a little better. Comparison with his toy version. You can see there they are. And this is the same transformation on these guys. There is an alternate transformation you can use on the toy one to make him look more like the old toy did. But that's just a comparison between the decos. You see he's got some red and silver where his is mostly yellow. He's got a little bit of more detail here on his waist. And of course the chrome. Now if you want him to look more like the toy, let's go ahead and get these out of the way here. You lift this up. Okay, I should move these out of the way first. Lift this whole thing up, and these panels right here, which we had flat before, rotate them so they stick straight up like this. And you want to make sure that that hinge right here on this ball joint is facing down, or so the hinge is here on top of this so they can flip out properly. But you bring that all the way down and around, and again swing the arm out like that. And you can close this back down over it, and then you bring the front little covers here back into where they were for vehicle mode position. That just lowers his shoulders, makes him look a little bit more like the toy, which I think feels a little awkward. But if you want to do it, you can. Also, he's got the stripes here on the side of his arms versus the yellow, and then you can reattach everything. Come on. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so outside of that, I mean, like, they can both do either transformation. I prefer the higher shoulders, but it's entirely up to you. But there's what they look like together in their two various configurations and colors. Size comparisons. I did bring some stuff in for this week, so you'll be happy. Actually, I guess I can just leave them both in the shot. But here is with Masterpiece Prowl, Masterpiece Sideswipe, so we can get them all in here. Ocular Max's Sphinx, their Mirage. Trying to make sure you can see the figures themselves. And Masterpiece Bumblebee. I did post a picture with MP10 on my Twitter feed, but I didn't bring him in just for full bag reasons. But there he is with several, another third-party Masterpiece and several official Masterpieces. And I think he looks pretty good with them. Personally, like I said, I think I prefer the Toon colors on this guy, but it really comes down to what is your personal preference. Both figures I feel are solid. They're both made of die cast and plastic. It really is what you prefer on your shelf between the two of these. I think it's really well made. I think it's a very nice representation of Hound. I know there's a couple more coming out, and we'll see how those stack up when they are released. I'm not going to say this one's better than the other ones when all I've seen from the other ones are like grayscale prototypes. So we'll compare those when it's time. But this really is a nice looking Hound, either one of them for your shelf. So yeah, there is Maketoys GUNDOG. One thing I forgot, and I'm glad I remembered before I started getting into the whole process of editing and rendering the file. I do have one minor nitpick with him. For the most part, like I said, I think he's pretty solid. And that's the way the waist joint collapses here. You can see there's a little tab there, but there's no slot. It doesn't tab into anything. It just kind of rests there on the waist piece. And for the most part, it gives him an ab crunch, which is nice. It doesn't affect his waist swivel, and for the most, and he stays pretty solidly, but it doesn't lock in. So it is possible if you're not thinking about it to bend his waist. And again, picking him up like that, the weight of the die cast and the feet can make it come loose. It hasn't been a major issue. Like I said, once it's there, it stays pretty well if you pose him on the shelf. If you're posing him, it doesn't come loose when you're moving his arms. It's not super floppy or anything, but it would have been nice if there was some way to make this lock in a little better here. If there were just some sort of clip in between the wheels or something, so that stayed locked in. It might have alleviated a few issues. Like I said, it's a very minor nitpick, but it is something I noticed, and it hasn't been an issue, but I do wish just a little bit more securely, because I have knocked it, doing something else. I've ended up moving this or having his waist come up undone by doing something else. Like I said, minor inconvenience. It's not something you'll probably run into every single time you mess with it, but just one little thing that I feel could have been a little better on him. But like I said, all in all, a very solid Hound and a good representation of him for your shelf. He fits in, I think, really well with other Masterpieces, and I think he's worth picking up.